SchoolsPlus came to the school just this past year, and so we've been working on getting the site up and operating, building the relationship with our facilitator and our outreach worker, and how that relates to the school and our school planning team. So we've been doing a lot this year around building that relationship and making the connections between our school planning team and the SchoolsPlus coordinators. I expected when the SchoolsPlus was coming in that it was going to be off the ground and running. It takes some time. It takes some time to build the site. It takes some time to build that relationship. So it's not going to be an immediate fix. It's something you have to work toward. And I think it took us a few months before we kind of really got the full understanding of what SchoolsPlus could do for us, and for the student in particular.
This was our first year being involved with SchoolsPlus, and it has been fantastic for our school and for our students, for our teachers.
SchoolsPlus definitely requires us to look at students differently, and student issues in particular, and to find innovative ways to support the student and by extension the family. And for many schools, that's a big leap. The day-to-day things that happen within our walls, we manage, we deal with, we discipline. We do that by just course.
I think in the past, we've sort of been in a situation where we do all of the things we normally do as a school. Sometimes, unfortunately, our efforts don't bear fruit. And you, in the past, got to that point where you would say, I'm not sure as a school with the expertise and the resources we have, what more we can do to try to support this particular student or his or her family, and that's where SchoolsPlus comes in. So it's very much not a cookie cutter approach or anything like that.
The intake process also includes information about past resources or organizations that the family may be involved with. So that allows myself the opportunity to do an assessment with the family, what's worked in the past, what hasn't, what were the barriers. Oftentimes I feel like families are coming to SchoolsPlus because they've either tried other resources in the community and haven't been successful, or feel like they don't have the right questions to ask. They're just overwhelmed with the whole process. So being able to step in to advocate and to kind of help them navigate through the systems, families have responded very positively to that.
SchoolsPlus can look very different in Digby County than it may in Antigonish or in Barrington or in Halifax, certainly, based on the resources that are available in the community and within the schools.
Schools have changed a lot. What we used to deliver was a one program fits all, and we know that doesn't work. And we look at the needs of our students and our community much better than we ever have before.
One of the major bonuses of having SchoolsPlus within our particular family of schools is in schools we can do a lot to support students. We do a lot to support students not only academically but also emotionally. 99.99% of the time, the student who needs support also comes from a family who may need support. The family may need support in supporting the student, or the family may need support in general. And with SchoolsPlus facilitator and also the role of the community outreach worker, we actually do have the resources to go into homes, to make suggestions to families on how to better support their students. And that's where you see the lasting change.
I think SchoolsPlus is an opportunity for agencies to work collaboratively with school officials, teachers, school-based staff in any context, to support the children in our classroom, support their families, and specifically to support the most vulnerable children. Although the program is designed for everyone in our school community, it's those children, youth, and families that express vulnerabilities that I'm really interested in supporting. So I think SchoolsPlus right now is a vehicle to do that.
As we've been involved, the referral process gets easier because you look back at some of the other things that you've done and you can say, okay, why don't we do something similar? It actually is very helpful to be able to look back at them. The important thing to know here is that SchoolsPlus has made the difference in children their attitudes, their abilities to be engaged in some programs. We want to make sure that we're helping with great citizens. Sometimes when families look at schools, they might look at them as, depending on people's history with the school. And school has changed dramatically, and we want families to know we're working with you to develop your children. One of the most important parts of SchoolsPlus and being principal of a school is actually thinking outside the box. You have to be willing to say to staff, if you have ideas that you may have thought, oh, we can't do that, bring it up and let's talk about it, because there may be ways that we can do that.
Well, SchoolsPlus Community Outreach has a number of hats they wear. One is direct service and support to families that are referred through the school team.
The teachers as the frontline workers are the ones that identify where the need is, and as an administrator, I rely on them to tell me who we've got to connect to SchoolsPlus and the outreach workers. So it was very important that teachers understood the new role and the new possibilities. One of the best things about SchoolsPlus is it helps us in the area of engagement, both in terms of students and their families. Because the supports offered through SchoolsPlus extend beyond the classroom, there's a comfort level that families have with the building, and certainly the students do, many of them, and so they're open to receiving support where they may not be in other contexts.
I've been really fortunate to be part of the same family schools that SchoolsPlus has been involved in. And so there's 2 outreach workers in this family of schools that I work with. Sometimes it's making referrals to the principal that then filters down to them to do some home visits and some individual work with families in their homes. Sometimes it's been working with them on a health committee to determine what needs to be done throughout the school and what, so that services don't overlap, so that we kind of all have our coordinated collaboration of efforts in order to meet the needs of the school, the students and the families.
We sit and discuss concerns about the student, whether it's academic or behavioral or social emotional, those kinds of challenges that they're facing.
And we sit together and we just discuss the issues a child might be having, and the classroom teacher has a lot of information to give us about the student. And then we sit together and talk about recommendations and what we can do to help the child. Often we would recommend resource support, learning center support, and SchoolsPlus has become a really big recommendation that we use quite often, actually.
The referral process is very easy. Filling out the referral, making sure Marlene is wonderful at having the accountability piece, so we all have that all shored up. It's a great process. In my opinion, it works very well. We try to bridge community, home, and school supports. We're fortunate to be a hub site for SchoolsPlus, and we take advantage of that. We frequently make referrals to SchoolsPlus to try to get support for the student in terms of maybe a rec support after school programs, swimming, tutoring, those kinds of things, and home support too for parents. Sometimes they'll need some parenting support, and we'll help them with that if they've identified that they are experiencing difficulty at home with their student, or their child actually. Trying to offer support for the whole child and home as well, because as we all know, school is not a separate entity from home, so oftentimes things from home will impact student learning at school. Prior to having a SchoolsPlus, it just made it more of a challenge to help the child at home as well, and the parent too. Having SchoolsPlus as another option, another venue for us to offer support for a whole child and a whole family has certainly heightened our, I think, effectiveness in terms of helping students. Because oftentimes I don't want it to be seen as a separate entity, because it is a huge parent connecting piece that we sometimes don't get the advantage of, because there's that, I don't want to speak about parents, but in terms of their impression of the teachers and approaching teachers and not feeling as comfortable. And our community outreach worker is a member of the community. I think overall the process, I feel, is very easy, and I would certainly talk to people and say, no matter what you think, if it's too small of a referral or too large, just make the referral and let that be determined, but at least make the referral, and it's easy.
Typically, referrals for the most part, come through schools program planning meetings, and I am present for those meetings to basically determine whether or not they fit SchoolsPlus criteria. If they do indeed fit the criteria, then I take the information back with me, I review the referral, and the intake begins by contacting the parents. Sometimes the parents aren't aware that the referral has been made through the school, but I find it's easier to just general courtesy to call the parents, explain what the program is, make arrangements for the family to come here. The nice thing about SchoolsPlus is that I can go to them wherever they're comfortable and then gather additional information as to what's been going on with the student, the family, and how we can better meet the needs that they've identified in the referral.
In terms of being able to give students access to other things such as field trips, being able to take advantage of things throughout the city, for example, like we did this year, I think it's just an awesome time. I think it's great for students to be able to do all the things that their teachers want them to do. And we all know in this day and age financially it can be very difficult simply because some people just simply don't have the means to be able to do so. So for us and for any young principal or vice principal coming up, it would be really important for them to get SchoolsPlus into their school as early as possible, to talk a little bit about the process, and also be able to get teachers thinking about how they can sort of think outside the box in terms of activities and things that they can do that they can access SchoolsPlus for. But sometimes you have students that we know may not have the means to be able to do certain things, and through SchoolsPlus you can put together initiatives that affect everybody positively. So for example, if you're doing things like needing transportation money or bus ticket money or all those kind of things, those are things that really don't have an individual's name attached to it. I think in this day and age people are very conscious of words like have and have not, but what SchoolsPlus does is that it takes all that out of the picture. It looks out for all the students because you're looking for support as a school as well as individuals, because at the end of the day for us it's about students being able to take advantage of an opportunity.
When we're referring a student to SchoolsPlus, we would talk to the administration often because sometimes there could be confidential nature, so we'd go through administration, and most of the time, sometimes we'd go to the program planning team, and then from there the administration would make a referral to SchoolsPlus. I just find it's really nice having a social worker that has a whole different set of knowledge in the building, in a school. Being able to collaborate with her, with families, along with outside agencies and the student to create a comprehensive plan for an individual student has just been very positive. That conversation would be had along with the SchoolsPlus facilitator, and then we would make a referral based on the need of the student. And then the conversation would be kind of had on where that priority would be in her caseload. If I have a student who I think could benefit from SchoolsPlus, I can have a conversation with the SchoolsPlus facilitator and make a direct referral to her. Oftentimes this works better due to the confidential nature of the student situation. If need be, if there's no confidential issue around the student, then I can go through the administration or the program planning team. I just think of the outside agencies that are now coming into the school and how students are benefiting from that, especially in a rural setting like my school. So I'm thinking of like mental health clinicians being in the school, Department of Community Services, Department of Justice, like all of these people coming to the table with the family of the student, working together to make a plan. It's wonderful. And we always worked with the family, but now we have all those outside agencies involved as well. I would say take advantage of the services that are available. I mean, we're all swamped at school, and the more people that can help our students, the better. I don't feel like myself alone I could help the needs of all my students in the school, so having someone else to be able to help and bring other agencies into the school is just amazing. So seek out that person and get their help and make them part of your team.
So for example, a number of the agencies, in fact I think most agencies across the province, link up with SchoolsPlus facilitators, SchoolsPlus programs in their particular regions, and offer a Voices program.
After gaining a rapport with the youth, I often feel that sometimes things may become disclosed that it's not my area of expertise, nor is my area that I'm working with that particular youth. So I have the opportunity to have the conversation with the SchoolsPlus outreach worker or the facilitator for a possibility of referral.
We have students within the school system, if they are of age where they can come and approach me within the school and have explained that they're not comfortable with their parents knowing that they've approached SchoolsPlus, that they want to meet with a certain organization or agency within the community that may visit the schools, such as addiction services or mental health. That's completely confidential, and we have part of the intake and the consent form is that the student, based on capacity, and I decide whether or not they do have the capacity to sign the consent and they understand what that means. So age, maturity, students are able to do that on their own, and parents don't always have to be informed.
One of the great things here is it's the wraparound approach, where we're all coming together, many professionals, and working together with families, having conversation about what we can do for our students. When I think that I might have a case for SchoolsPlus, I'll talk with my principal, and you know, then I may actually talk to Monique, because we're actually fortunate here in Cape Breton. We have also school board social workers, so we kind of work all together, and at that point they decide, you know, what avenue should we go, and it's kind of like a strength approach. We look at who's strong in what areas.
The SchoolsPlus program has allowed me to have interaction with someone like the outreach worker, for example, or or Tara, and you know, to run some things by them and to see if, you know, SchoolsPlus, if this could benefit the family without breaking confidentiality, of course. But we kind of work together. The referral goes in, and the referrals that I've put in, the benefits are tremendous, because we're getting other shareholders and agencies involved around the table. This way, SchoolsPlus can coordinate, make sure that everyone's around the table, and that we're all working towards the ultimate goal and providing service and support for our students. They are the point person, if you will. They make arrangements, they might set up meeting dates, they coordinate again and take lead. So yes, it has been advantageous for our building and for our students, obviously. Our school planning team meets every 2 weeks. We will refer students to program planning, and SchoolsPlus will be an option. If we've really exhausted all avenues, if we have looked far and wide for services and support and we're running into roadblocks, SchoolsPlus is there for us. We often, unfortunately, have families coming to us that may have a crisis of some sort going on, and they're unsure of where to look for support. I find that I could call the SchoolsPlus representative and ask, well, okay, I need this type of support in my building. Where do you think I should go? Should I go community services? Should I be looking through you know, mental health or parenting journey or other advocacies that are out there? And then the advice will come and the recommendation, and then we work together. So for me, it's been extremely beneficial in getting the proper service for families. Within our building, certainly I know what we can provide within our building, but we need that liaison, if you will, between our building and the community and the agencies out there that can provide that needed service in the home, in the community, outside of this building.
With the referral process to SchoolsPlus, that comes at the end of a long process most times. So generally it would be students and families who we've discussed at our school program planning team meetings. That we've tried different academic interventions, and we've accessed the school-based supports that we've always had in the past, and haven't yet met with success in dealing with that particular issue. Then as a team we would meet again with SchoolsPlus facilitator and our entire school program planning team, and potentially make the decision that that particular student or family would benefit from the supports and resources that can be put forth through SchoolsPlus.
Through our school planning team, oftentimes we'll find ourselves faced with a situation where we're struggling to provide the services for an individual student, and the school reaches out as much as they can and provide the services they can through school-based services and regional services, but oftentimes there's outside agencies and organizations that are involved with a child that sometimes we have difficulty in making that connection. So as a result, our school planning team, we bring those issues forward so that we can discuss the challenges that we're facing, and through our SchoolsPlus coordination and our facilitator, who will join us for our school planning meetings, We can have the discussion about whether it's a SchoolsPlus case that we can put forward, and then through our student information system and our TINET system, we'll put the referral forward, and then it's just a matter of making that connection and having the case conference.
Currently, referrals to me are coming in two ways, either through the SchoolsPlus facilitator or through the mental health waiting list. We're currently reviewing that process and looking at how school guidance counselors or administration can refer directly to me in certain cases.
With SchoolsPlus, it makes me think of the students who are chronically absent, who due to maybe anxiety-related issues have practiced school avoidance or something like that. We've seen some real success stories here, thanks to the fact that we're now not only working on the issue as a school with the students when they are here, but that we do actually have the resources for people to go into the home, work with families, offer programming, offer emotional support to the families to get the students back in school. And so that change is a lasting change, not something that just keeps appearing periodically.
The SchoolsPlus consent form and that information sharing between agencies is really one of the tipping points to success. The SchoolsPlus facilitators, the community outreach workers that have been successful really have been relentless in their approach to working with the comprehensive service plans to design a comprehensive approach, and really have addressed some very difficult discussions with other agencies to try to pull our supports together for the one reason, and that's for the student.
I have been over the moon to be able to work with SchoolsPlus when I feel as though there are families who just seem to need a little bit of extra beyond the school environment. I really appreciate the limited amount of time that, relative to other services that we need to be waiting for SchoolsPlus personnel, which has been excellent.
Anyone can refer to SchoolsPlus. They can be the parent themselves or the guardian. It can be the school themselves, the administrators or teachers, guidance. What we do is we just have a round table and we bring in whichever organizations or agencies are working with the student. That could be mental health and addictions, that could be social services, it could be the RCMP if there are challenges with restorative practices, that kind of thing, or restorative justice process. So we sort of bring people around the table. That way everyone hears the same information at the same time. We work with the family, we work with anyone who's involved, speech language, the school psychologist, anyone who's involved with that child and that family to build a support system and work towards success.
The cases that are referred to the SchoolsPlus facilitator are complex cases. Attendance is on the surface a simple issue. Sometimes it's very complex because of the emotional health issues that are related to it.
In terms of actually getting to finding solutions to why students are having difficulties or maybe having difficulties, we are now thinking beyond just what is happening immediately. SchoolsPlus allows schools to look at, work with parents, support families, deal with medical issues, economic issues, housing issues, the whole wide range. We've attempted to do that, but what SchoolsPlus provides are the necessary individuals, people, community outreach workers, the individuals that makes that so much easier.
As a professional in the community, it has been a wonderful resource. When I have mothers come in and I'm dealing with issues of abuse in the home, unhealthy relationships, and of course there's also issues with the kids. And well, what's there for them? How can I help the kids? And now having SchoolsPlus as a referral has just made all the difference to those parents and for myself.
That's one of our challenges, is how we can share information to develop a comprehensive service plan. And if we can figure out how to navigate and how to overcome that barrier, then we'll better serve more efficiently, more timely, and in a more comprehensive manner the children that we need to.
You're the curriculum leaders within the building, and that's a difficult thing to do. But having SchoolsPlus has helped us make those connections in the community, bring in programs, And it really has changed what happens in our building with not only the students, but the staff. You're missing out if you're not in a SchoolsPlus school.